Well, hello and welcome to the Super Connector Show, where I'm delighted to be joined by Cheryl Burgess, who is a co-founder and director of Opexcell Limited, which she launched in September this year alongside her colleague Benjamin Good. Based in Lincolnshire, Cheryl's a dynamic operations leader with 15 years of cross-sector experience in aviation, telecommunications, and energy from waste, and she helps turn operational challenges into strategic opportunities. So welcome, Cheryl. Thank you for joining me.
Thank you so much for having me, Paul. It's lovely to be here.
Yes, I'm excited about this. And the one thing I didn't mention there, you're also one of my partner's best and longest friends as well. So there's another reason for doing this.
Indeed.
I might have a little story from your escapades to ask you about,
Oh
but
no.
we'll see how it goes. So I just thought if we could start by just tell me why you started your own business after many years as an employee and a senior leader.
Yeah, absolutely, Paul. So I've had quite a diverse career, as you've mentioned. I actually started my career as a primary school teacher,
Oh, right.
and I lasted about a year, and then I decided to follow my passion, which was aviation, and that actually stemmed from a birthday present that Katie bought me, which was a flying lesson. And I'd always
Amazing.
been interested in the RAF, and I applied, and I was successful. And I became a fast jet weapons systems officer, which was great. I was based up in Lossiemouth, and with that comes a lot of pressure. And you know, there's a strong requirement for teamwork and leadership under pressure. I had a fantastic career, fantastic time doing that, and then I moved into an intelligence role once I'd had my children. And then I think when I got to probably my mid-30s, I still wanted to have a career and I was still ambitious, but being away from home all the time wasn't really fitting in with family life. So I left, and I was very fortunate to gain a position on an accelerated leadership program with a large telecommunications provider. And the program was designed for people who had significant leadership experience, but they were new to the telecoms industry. And you had like 12-month placements over the 3-year program. So to start with, I went into a senior project manager role where I was managing behavioural change programs, really focused on reducing waste, reducing rework, and improving quality of workmanship. And that really piqued my interest in kind of human behaviour and cultural transformation. From there, I moved into a more strategic role, and that was probably the most interesting role in that it defined my career because I knew that's where I didn't want to be. So I actually forged my way back into service delivery and back into operations into a regional change role in Northern England. That was really interesting. I was working with some large transformation consultancy companies. The organisation was going through a huge organisational change, which was impacting 18,000 employees. And to be part of that, I gained so much knowledge and experience from that. And that's really where I wanted to kind of steer my career. So when I came off the programme, I applied for and I was successful in gaining a role as the senior area manager for a large telecommunications team down in Suffolk and Essex. And they were the worst performing team in the UK. And I was asked at the time why that team. And I think it motivated me because if you take on or you take the lead of a top performing team, it's quite easy to keep them there, or an average performing team. But actually, I didn't for one second believe that 300 employees went to work every day wanting to do a bad job. And I saw the motivation there to really understand what was going wrong, what could be fixed. And we had a huge transformation, huge performance improvement. And that team will always hold a bit of my heart, I think. And it kind of, everything built on from there, really. It was all about kind of leadership, people, transformation, developing high-performing teams. I then wanted a new challenge, so I left that organisation and I went to work for a private equity company in telecommunications again. That, again, brought its own challenges, and I'd only been there about 6 weeks. and they were having a huge structural change in that 500 people were being made redundant. And I was asked to take on the role as the network build director. Now, I had so many people in my team that I hadn't interviewed myself. I didn't really know. There were a large number of employees who were leaving, so they were feeling really unsettled. And the learning that I took away from that was how to kind of own that process and actually put people at the heart of it, because it's impacting not only them, it's impacting their families. And it was the right thing to do for the business. And actually the team that we built on the back of it was absolutely outstanding. Unfortunately, without the right investment, the funds ran out, and we had to stop building the network. So the second time when all of my team was made redundant, I really wanted to own that process, because ultimately I worked with people every day and I had a relationship with them, and it was really important for me to kind of make sure that everybody was supported. So I took a lot of learning again from that. And then I moved into a different industry altogether as the operations director in energy from waste. Again, building new relationships, seeing different challenges. And it got to earlier this year and I was presented with an opportunity. And if I didn't do it now, I would probably never do it. But all of the things that I've learned, all of the things that I enjoy, all of the things I enjoy doing with people and interacting with people, because that's really what I'm all about. I really wanted to use that knowledge and experience to support other businesses, maybe startups, scale-ups, small, medium-sized enterprises. They all go through challenges, whether it be getting their teams aligned to kind of get the business goals, or achieving operational excellence, which I'm sure we'll talk about a little bit more later. It could be organisational redesign as businesses are changing, whether they're upscaling or whether they're downsizing. All of these things really motivate me, but it's really important that we put people at the heart of everything. So that's where the idea for Opexcell came about. Ben and I are very experienced in project and change management as well. And I think it's important to build a business with people who you trust and who are really good people. It's great if you've got people who are experienced and skilled in certain things, but if they don't have the right attitude and the trust isn't there, then it's never going to work. Ben and I have worked together for a long time now. The trust is there. We work well together and we're both passionate about the same things. And we both have a very similar way of thinking about how to approach different things. We're very different in personality, but it kind of works when we work together. And that's really where Opexcell was kind of thought about, really. It's in its infancy still at the moment, but it's basically everything that we're passionate about and putting people at the heart of everything.
Right. I've said this before online, I think, but you are awesome. Like, you just what an incredible career you've had. Yeah, I mean, I know Katie's obviously a huge fan. Well, obviously as your friend, but like she's always talking about what an amazing career you've had as well, and you have. I mean, that operating at the highest level, and then that experience in it was the RAF, wasn't it? Aviation when you started. I mean, that just sounds incredible what you did there. And when you look back now, it probably makes sense. But when you started out, did you know what you wanted to do, or how did you move from one role to another, or one industry to another? Was that easy for you, or not?
It has been relatively easy. I kind of knew early on that teaching wasn't for me. It was great, but I wanted probably something a little bit more adventurous. And I'd applied for the RAF initially when I was about 17, and I applied for a bursary through university, and I was unsuccessful. Mm-hmm. And I was basically told to come back when I had more life experience. So I went away, went to university, became a primary school teacher. I also became a civilian helper with the Air Cadets as well, just to get some kind of military experience. Now, I was told when I joined RAF College Cranwell that I was the most civilian officer that they'd ever seen, but I didn't necessarily think it was a bad thing. Really enjoyed that. It was tough going through flying training. You know, it wasn't something that came naturally to me, and it took me a long time to kind of get to grips with everything. But I enjoyed every single second of my time flying. I enjoyed the camaraderie on the squadron, our deployments. I knew that once I had my family, it was the right time to leave, and it was the right time for a new challenge. And it was actually an ex-line manager of mine from the RAF who'd introduced me to this programme within the telecommunications industry. And I found going into what was Openreach, what is Openreach, it was actually quite a natural transition. There's a large pool of veterans that work for Openreach. My line manager, who I worked for when I first joined, was very structured and organised and quite direct, which is exactly the way that I was used to working. And actually, he was very supportive of the fact that I was transitioning out of the forces. But me being me and being quite civilian anyway, it was quite a natural transition. Moving into private equity was probably the biggest challenge because there's a lot of different hoops that you need to jump through. There's a lot of people that understandably you need to answer to because they're investing a lot of money. And then moving into a different industry, in energy from waste, again, transition's quite natural because I think when you get to senior leadership positions, it's not necessarily about your understanding of an industry. You've got a team of experts around you who can do that. It's about how you lead and how you manage people and how you work with people and how you bring them together. So I think I have naturally kind of just progressed throughout my career, but I haven't seen it as jumping from industry to industry. It's more about kind of moving up the career ladder, if that makes any sense.
Yeah, no, totally. And these roles, are they ones that you've found yourself or through your network, or have you been headhunted or through a recruiter or anything like that?
Then the roles, other than one where I was approached by a headhunter, they're all roles that I've found myself. And I've never been one to kind of send out a load of applications. I really need to be interested and motivated in the job that I'm doing with the right people. So it's kind of, yeah, it's a mixture of both, really.
Yeah, cool. And I'm going to ask you some more questions about like confidence going into these other roles as well. Like if you, especially if it's an industry that you've not been in before, like do you go in like fully confident that you can do it, or is there a bit of you that's like, oh, I'm not sure I can do it, but I'm going to give it a good go? And I just
I feel
wanted
a lot
to
less confident being on video camera on LinkedIn at the moment. You know that this has been well out of my comfort zone, but I am very grateful to be here. I think it's important to be confident, but ultimately it's about going in and building relationships with people. I would never go into a new industry and pretend that I know everything, because I don't. But it's about building the foundations with your team, getting everybody aligned, really thinking about where the team is, where it needs to be, and having really honest conversations around performance. And one of the teams that I went into several years ago, nobody had actually ever mentioned performance metrics to them. And it being kind of bottom of the pile for, I'd say, that the basics measures, which meant leaving the house on time, getting to work on time, signing in on time. Again, I didn't believe 300 people were purposefully not doing that. But when you actually kind of took a dive into it, it could be that the trackers on their vans weren't working properly. They didn't understand their kind of contractual agreements. Yes, there were some behavioural issues, but I think it's important to go in. And I always kind of take a step back for probably the first 3 to 4 weeks, just to kind of observe and fully understand what's going on. Have honest conversations with people and communicate regularly to see where where the issues are. And my first meetings, I always say to them, it's almost like an amnesty period. If there's things that aren't working, let's talk about it. Let's add it to the list. And I like to come away with a long list of issues to fix. I almost see myself as kind of the barrier remover, and I like to let the teams do what they do best, which is run their teams within their industry. So I guess long-winded answer, yes, I go in confident, but I'm not intrusive, and I am very much an observer first and foremost before we plan together how we're going to progress.
Yeah, no, I love that. For the best leaders and managers are that, like when you say removing barriers to like so that people can get on with the job and do what they're good at and what they're trained to do. Yeah, a lot of companies don't do that, and
Yeah.
maybe interfere or micromanage or don't have that open communication from the outset. And
I think coming back to trust as well, if you have the right people in the right roles, with the right skills, with the right attitude, I think that autonomy is really, really important. And that's a massive factor in kind of operational excellence and achieving operational excellence. Because if people don't have autonomy and if they do feel like, they're being held back or restricted in any way, it can become really, really suffocating. And people aren't going to be creative. They aren't going to want to put forward their ideas. They may become overwhelmed. And I think it can often cause quite a toxic environment. I think it's really important to create a culture of psychological safety where everybody can come to work, and if there's a problem, they can raise it respectfully. If things are going well, they can communicate it. If they've got some good ideas, they feel really comfortable in presenting those ideas to an audience of any size. And that's something that really is important to me when I join any new team.
yeah, no, love that. Yeah, because people can just sort of give up, stop trying, and do the bare minimum, or they can become bitter and resentful and start causing problems, and
Yeah.
it comes out, doesn't it, in that way, or they might leave. They might just leave, or actively looking to leave and doing the minimum, or possibly worse is like poisoning, like the environment that they're around, like you say, being toxic. That because they've not been listened to, or not felt like the people are being taken on board, their opinions or their suggestions.
And just a couple of things that you've just mentioned there that are really important. When I go into any team, I'm very, very fair, and I do want to create a culture where everybody is listened to. That I'm very clear to start with of the three things that I probably won't tolerate, and I think I don't think anybody could really disagree with them. The first is purposeful non-compliance to safety, because everybody wants to come to work safely, go home to their families every night. The second is bullying and harassment. I hear the term banter thrown around a lot, but actually sometimes it can be offensive to somebody. And it's really important that people come to work and they feel respected and that they're valued. And the third thing is actually toxic negativity, because it spreads like wildfire. You can put a huge amount of work into a project or a program or a new initiative, and just one or two negative comments can really, really impact it and put a massive stop to it. So it's important that these are kind of nipped in the bud. And if people do have queries or questions, then I would probably question my own communication of how have I tried to land this properly. So it is really important, and I think the negativity is something that does need to be dealt with there and then. But yeah, that's yeah.
Awesome.
I'm not train of thought because you didn't mention anything else.
Great answer. So obviously you're talking about who you work with so far, you and Ben, but who are you working with now, or who do you want to work with in particular? Is it any sector, or are you trying to hone in on like telecoms perhaps, or?
A bit of both, really. To start with, focused on telecommunications, because that's probably where most of both mine and Ben's experience is. But we're actually really fortunate in that we applied for and were successful in getting an office at a place called Spark House, which is within the University of Lincoln. And it's an entrepreneurial ecosystem with full support from the university, designed for startups and scale-ups. So we're really keen to support businesses in the local area and kind of wider across the UK, mainly focused on SMEs to start with, particularly those businesses who may find themselves in a kind of a rapid change. They might have started out during COVID, for example, and they're experiencing significant growth, but they don't necessarily have the experience to grow the team at the same time. Or there may be businesses who are downsizing, need support with that. We can help any businesses across any sector with strategic growth facilitation. So getting together to put strategic plans, business plans in place, getting teams together to be aligned with objectives and KPIs, organisational redesign. In terms of operational excellence, we can support pretty much any team or industry with the likes of performance audits. And a big part of it is continuous improvement planning and implementation after those performance audits. For small businesses, we provide HR services, which isn't just the policies, procedures, frameworks, which we can do. We can also put teams on an HR software, so we can provide reporting each month, manage attendance, manage annual leave, ensure that performance reviews are done. But also a big part of the HR services that we provide go beyond just the policies and procedures. It's about employee engagement surveys, finding out how employees are really feeling, what's working, what isn't, how engaged they're feeling, and then working with management teams to see what we need to do to make things better, and then have regular pulse surveys after that. Another part of the HR services we provide is equality, diversity and inclusion awareness and training. We can also do surveys as well, just to see how teams are performing in that area. Project and change management, again, it can be across most industries and likely small to medium-sized businesses or teams within bigger organisations. And that would be anything from a bespoke project, like a process implementation, a new system implementation, or it could be some support with a business transformation, be it a new structure. It could be cultural transformation, behavioural change. And then the final service that we offer, or area that we offer, is interim leadership. So there may be somebody who's left the business, who's been in a senior leadership position, and we can go in for a period of time to plug that gap until a permanent candidate's been found. Or there's a fractional element where you may be a startup or a scale up or a rapidly growing company who can't yet afford, or you don't necessarily have the requirement yet for a permanent CEO or chief operating officer, and you can go in on almost like a part-time basis, be 1-2 days per week, just for consistency, to make sure that the strategic plans are still being followed, objectives, KPIs are still being met, but without that full-time commitment or overhead.
Yeah. Brilliant what you're doing. I mean, most of the people that I work with personally are more like pre-start to pre-scale up.
Yeah.
I do work with some scale-up businesses as well, and corporates. I've worked for big corporates like Sage and British Airways, but it tends to be startup, scale-up. That's what I'm most experienced with. But my business partner, Neil, he tends to work, well, he works with startups, but more scale-up. And he's like an angel investor and a non-exec director and an advisor. So me and him together make a good team. But I'm already thinking of some people who would probably benefit from talking to you in our network, definitely. Because it's that people don't know what they don't know, do they? And it's very different starting a business to scaling a business and then taking it to the next level. So you having that steady hand or guide.
It absolutely is, and I think between Ben and I, we've seen kind of most business transitions, and we've seen it done well and we've seen it done poorly, and where we really want to take the experience and support businesses, and we don't want to kind of provide a consultancy as such. We want to be part of the team and part of the journey and really kind of support people when they need it the most, because it's really important. And you know it yourself, actually being a business owner can be a really lonely place when you're the main decision maker. And just, I found recently, I've been actually overwhelmed by people's kindness. You know, yourself, when I think we just registered the business, and you offered to have a conversation with us just about kind of your experience in starting up, marketing, that type of thing, because everything was really, really new to us. And then we've had some support from a marketing director with regards to our search engine optimization and website content. And it was one Friday afternoon. I was sitting at my dining table with almost like my head in my hands, thinking, what on earth have I done? And I heard a message come through. And it was a friend who's a very successful local business owner, Rob. And he just said, great to see you've started your own business. If there's any way I can help out. And we started having a conversation. He's probably been more of a support than you'll ever know with regards to, personalising our brand, kind of video content for our website, which will be going on this week. And it's been really refreshing to just have somebody to confide in who's been there, done it, understands the struggles, understands how you're feeling at some point. And I can just send him a voice note. He'll get back to me, you know, if he's got any hints or tips. And it has been really refreshing. And I think if there's anything I could kind of give back to a business, it would be that, because there's so much to think about. And when you're going through a transformational change, when people are involved, it is so difficult. You know, we can talk about processes and systems. They're kind of almost easy to fix. But when people and emotions and families and, you know, it's really difficult. And to have that kind of support, I think, is invaluable. And that's really the personal approach that we want to kind of provide, rather than just a consultancy business.
Yeah, love that. Well, yeah, that Rob guy sounds excellent. And there'll be others out there as well who are happy to help, lend a helpful ear, or just a sounding board. You know, they're not wanting anything in return. They just enjoy helping and being there. And there's massive value in that. You know, like that's one of the reasons why I do all the events that I do. And then, because I think if you're hanging out with other like-minded people, other business owners and leaders, you can get a lot of energy and advice and support from that. The rest of the time you might be working in isolation on your own, but just every now and then, maybe once a month or something, find a good event or a good network to attend with people at a similar level that you can just be open and share insights with.
I think that's really good advice, and that's actually something you mentioned to Ben and I when we spoke a few months back, the importance of networking. And it is so important to get out. And I've basically been working from home throughout, you know, the summer period, starting this business up in September, and sitting at my dining room table here, really, I find it really difficult to get up and be motivated and happy and positive all of the time. But we've recently got, initially I was going to convert the garage, which I am still doing, into an office, but we as I've mentioned, we've got this office at Spark House, and the difference actually going out for me personally every day and being around like-minded people, being around people who are going through the same journey as me right now, I find it really motivating. And as you say, you know, people do have hints and tips. I've never started a business before, even though I've got experience in other areas. And it is so helpful just to be around people. And I think that's really what kind of motivates me. And actually being out and about and in an office environment, I find really helpful. And that's one of the most valuable bits of advice that you gave to me, was the value of being out and about and networking.
Oh, well, I'm glad that was helpful. But I mean, we're talking about marketing as well, and I know you were really a bit hesitant about LinkedIn, but you seem to have embraced it. And you're doing some great stuff on there, and it seems to be going really well. So, are you enjoying that? Are you enjoying the response you're getting from people?
I am. It's kind of a work in progress. And I know in all of the roles I've had previously, I've had to go through media training, and it's something that I just can't do, right? And it's being on video.
You come across really well today. You are coming across really well.
it's something that was quite alien to me, but actually, if anything that I've learned over the past few months is that this is how things are now. You know, people do, people kind of buy from people, people relate to people. I've learned the importance of kind of social proof. And one difficulty that we have found is, well, actually, we're a new business, we're offering all of these services, but people don't know us. So it's almost trying to look at transferable examples, which we've got lots, you know, in terms of cost savings, restructures, organisational redesign, behavioural change. It's trying to make these relatable to how they would fit into another business with a common challenge. So that's something that Rob has been helping us with recently as well. As I mentioned, we also have been speaking to a marketing director who's helped loads with our search engine optimization. But I think in my head initially, I thought, oh, we'll have a website, then we'll be good to go. Well, actually, it takes you so long to kind of get your rankings up on Google. Up until recently, we were still kind of showing as being located in mid-Germany because you've got to send all of this proof off of your business and it needs to be verified. The marketing aspect, we're both very confident in the services that we deliver, but marketing and sales are quite new to us, even though we've been around it a lot. So it's been really useful. So I think LinkedIn for me is quite a comfortable way of doing this. And now it's a case of building on all of the other social media platforms like Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, which is something that I've never really been on. But yeah, it's been a bit of a learning curve because social media kind of is the way forward now, and it's a way of life. And the social proof is so important, and I completely understand why. So yeah, I am feeling a lot more comfortable with it now.
well, no, like your posts are very good. Like I'm impressed, and you are coming across really well on camera as well, because you come across natural, and I think I find it much easier just in conversation with someone than if it's just me talking to a camera. Like I still struggle. Like if I'm just talking to a camera, I find that hard. But if someone's interviewing me or I'm in a conversation like this is me. This is much more natural.
I agree.
Yeah, because So, and when it comes to sales and selling, I'm more marketing. That's a lot of my background's marketing. I've not really been salesy. I'm much more soft sell, relationship, partnership, community engagement, events, networking, that sort of thing. But we're all selling all the time. And the thing I always try and remember for me and others that I talk to is that you're providing a solution, and if you really believe in what you're doing and the difference it can make, you're doing them a disservice not telling them about what you do. So you're not actually selling them something that they don't want or don't need. You're not like selling them insurance that they don't need or some other service that's like superfluous. It's like if you can see that there's a challenge or they're coming to you with a challenge, why would you not tell them about it?
I think that's something else that I've definitely learned, Paul. Some of our early conversations, I think, were with companies that we'd worked for previously who really valued our contributions. So it was it's evident that or was evident back then that there was a requirement for our services, but actually kind of cold calling, trying to sell our services to people really doesn't work. It's all about building that relationship. And that's exactly why I think the networking has been really, really beneficial for us, because actually when we get to meet people, when they see, that we are human, we are going to provide a relatable service, and we can actually listen and understand the challenges and tell them how we could help. That is really the only way our business can grow. I don't think kind of mass messaging is a way that we can sell our services.
No, and you and Ben are the business, So there's, I think that's something some people are guilty of. Is like, are we talking about us? Like, are you talking about Cheryl and Ben, or are you talking about Opexcell? Like you are the business, and if someone comes to work with you, they're going to be dealing with one of you or both of you directly.
Yeah.
So you might as well put yourself out there And things like this, video interviews, podcasts, this is going to be a podcast as well. Speaking at events, like putting yourself forward to give short little talks and presentations. I think that's really important because it's a captive audience. It's much easier than trying to work the room and network everyone and get across to every person what it is that you do. If you can get your message, you can tailor it in a way that it's hopefully relevant or to the people in the room or people that they know, and then in one hit, you can reach lots of people.
Funnily enough, like public speaking and talking at events, I absolutely love doing. I think it's just
right, good. Well, get you booked for one of my events, and we'll get you to do. Well, that's good because a lot of people don't like doing it. A lot of people hate doing it. But yeah, it can be a big boost to them.
Yeah, I really enjoy it, especially when, not normally presenting at an event. It is a topic that I'm normally very passionate about, and getting to know new people, learning from them and seeing how we can support them as well. It's it's something I really enjoy doing.
Yeah, good. All right. Well, if anyone, okay, well, let's get you booked for our big event in the new year, and anyone else watching it, get Cheryl booked as a speaker. Just wanted to ask you, I think you've touched on it already, but like, what are the common challenges that you find when you go into an organization that stops them from performing well?
There can be various issues. If it's performance related, it could be that the wrong systems are in place, the wrong processes are in place. A lot of the time, it's to do with people and being aligned to the right roles. I firmly believe that if you've got the right people in the right roles, they know exactly what's expected of them. They're very clear on their roles and responsibilities, and we remove any kind of duplication and kind of waste. Everything just becomes more efficient. And it's really going in with a fresh pair of eyes, and as I would do as an employee going to lead a new team, is really just taking a kind of external view, taking on board feedback and looking at kind of everything within the organization. And that can be, as I've mentioned, processes, systems, how people are feeling, the right kind of support in place as well. Financially as well, people may go into positions, they've been promoted, but they might not have any P&L experience. So it's really just getting a full kind of 360 view of how the organisation's performing. But I wouldn't say there's a common trend or it's one thing in particular. It could be a variety of factors.
Yeah, I know that was a big question, and so yeah, there's so much to talk about there. What the conversations you're having with people now, are there any things that are like hot topics now? Is it? I mean, everyone seems to talk about AI all the time, but are people worried about that, or embracing it, or just not sure how that's going to affect them?
The businesses that we've been actually talking to, AI is not something that comes up very often, but we have already been approached by somebody to start a case study about AIs and how AI can kind of support startups, because we are very mindful that in a year, 2 years' time, people who we are talking to, people who we are supporting, people who are partnering with, AI is going to become a big part of their business. So it's something that we really need to kind of involve in our business as we grow. But it's not necessarily something that people have spoken to us a lot about. The conversations and the work that we've been doing have been primarily, it could be anything from reviewing safety documentation to implementing safety processes, to understanding how a team's performing and providing recommendations as to how those how improvements could be made.
Okay.
I don't think there's anything specific, and I think that's one thing that we've been quite passionate about since we've started. We don't want kind of off-the-shelf solutions. We want to support businesses which is bespoke to what they really need at the time. And it could be, you know, somebody's left the business and they've got a leadership gap and they need somebody to go in. They have a project that they need to be delivered, but they've all got a day job and they don't really need to do it, or they really don't have time to commit to it. They might really want to improve, but they need somebody kind of on a, say, every 2 weeks to come in and ensure that the continuous improvement plan's being followed. So long-winded again, I don't think there's any particular trends, if I'm completely honest, and AI isn't something that's been mentioned a lot, although I do expect it to kind of become more frequent, and we are incorporating that in our business to almost to kind of like future-proof it.
Yeah. Okay. No, that's
I feel like I'm kind of talking in riddles because a lot of the conversations that we have, it's kind of confidentiality, and you know, I can't be allowed.
Yeah, obviously, no, I understand. Yeah, I understand. No, I think that's good what you're doing there. Each conversation or each solution is bespoke to the company, and then, but that's testament to your depth and breadth of knowledge and insights, like an experience that you and Ben have got, that you can do that, and like the level that you've been at as well. That'll keep it interesting for you as well.
It does, and every day is a different day. And going back to networking and building those relationships with people, I could call anybody and say, right, we provide all of these services. Which one's more suitable for you? But actually, people might think, oh well, I don't need that. But actually, if when we go in and we actually have a conversation with somebody, we can really kind of tailor the services to fit their needs. And I think that's the most enjoyable part of it, because actually we can tell them what the outcome would be rather than say, this is what we can do for you. And I think that's a lot more relatable to people as well.
Yeah. Yeah, I think that's why having a good network's helpful as well, because if you know you might know what they need, but you might not want to or might not be able to deliver certain elements. But if you can recommend good people to bring in, either you bring them in directly as an associate or a subcontractor or whatever, or they bring them in directly. Having that network, like have good people around you that you can call in as and when, or you can in the right direction. That's definitely one of the things that I've done well out of, is having that network and knowing who to point people to and who to bring into the conversation. Yeah, excellent. Okay, so what's exciting times? You've just moved into a new office, so and what's next? What's next for you and Ben?
So at the moment, we're still building our client base. We've got the new website up and running. We've got more marketing that is around the corner. But actually, kind of further into the future, once we've got an established and continuous client base out to 6 to 8 months, we're actually already planning another part of the business, which is health, safety and environmental services as well. Okay. So that's something that's kind of a work in progress, but it won't be advertised probably for about another, as I say, 6 or 8 months, because we really want to make sure that that's up and running. And we really, our aspirations for the business is to provide a fully rounded kind of people-focused solutions and services that are very much people focused. So we have all of the kind of strategy, operational excellence, we have the HR services, then the health, safety and environmental should kind of package that nicely. Being where we are as well, really keen to make the most of the expertise that we've got in the university as well. And hopefully within a year or so, we'll be in a position where we can offer either graduate placements or people who are doing their placement years at university, bringing students into that as well. So I feel like we're in a really good position in terms of location of our office. We have a lot of plans, but it's really important for us that we don't scale too quickly, because we want to make sure that it's being done properly and we've got the right systems and processes in place. And when we are employing people, they're the right fit for the business as well. Mm-hmm. So we do have plans. We've got ambitions for next year, But at the moment, it's all about building our client base.
Yeah. Well, I'm sure you're going to be very successful because everything that you've done, you do to a very high level. So yeah, you've had a strong start. So well done. I'm impressed, and you should be proud of yourself
Thank
for
you.
what you've done so far. Just is there any books? I love books. Is there any books that you would recommend anyone read, or podcasts that you like? Put on the spot a bit.
No, it has, and it's probably something that I actually need to do more of. I do listen to podcasts, and probably one that a lot of people listen to already. I see a lot of similarities in their approach, and what I really admire about this person is that they put people at the forefront of everything they do. And it's Stephen Bartlett's podcasts and his books. I read his book when I was on holiday this year, and it probably sounds like a cliche, and everybody would say probably the same person. But I think I see him advertising for jobs, and he talks about like nice people and having nice people join. You don't need to send your CV; just send me a letter. And I think it's really important to look after our people and have the right people in the right roles. And I know I've said that quite a lot of times, but if I can be completely honest, I need to make more time to actually invest in reading. So it's something that I used to love doing. But I do tend to listen to podcasts when I'm like in the car or I'm kind of out and about. But yeah, I need more of that.
Well, yeah. No, but he is great. I mean, there's a reason why he's like I think he's the number one or the top business podcast. His guests are always like top notch. I always enjoy. He's a great interviewer. I was listening to his podcast when it was just him, just talking into his phone and recording when he first started it. And humble brag, he spoke at my Startup Week event way back in 2019. So before he became mega famous, he was before he was a dragon on Dragon's Den, and before he became mega famous, he was running Social Chain, like an agency in Manchester, which was already winning awards, and I could see he was something special. He was on his way up, but I got him at the right time, where nobody really knew who he was outside of Manchester, I don't think. But then he spoke at our event, and he was phenomenal. He was like a rock star. People just like gathered around him when he came off stage, and he had a queue of people for 2 hours after he came off stage, and he spoke to every single one, and he was just amazing. And then he left Social Chain, and then went off, wrote his book. Was it Crazy Sexy Millionaire or something? No, not crazy. Happy Sexy Millionaire. And then Dragon's Den, and then his podcast took off, and the rest is history. So
it's his most recent book that I read when I was on holiday, which was very good. Tell you what, there is actually another podcast that I actually listen to regularly, and it's a guy called Alex Partridge, and he does a lot for people with ADHD and understanding it. And I actually find that really interesting. I used to have somebody with ADHD in my team, and it was all about kind of understanding and supporting them and giving them opportunities to play to their strengths. And actually a lot of what he says resonates, and I actually really enjoy, because I think he's actually doing a lot for people who've probably had ADHD for a long time but actually haven't recognized that they have it. And I do actually listen to his podcasts quite a bit too.
No, he's very good. I heard him speak at another event actually in Sunderland, not my event, but another event last year, and he was amazing. There was a bit where he said, because he left Lad Bible, he got sort of screwed over a little bit, and then got ruled in his favor, but he left that. And he went to work for another company for a little while, who basically said, "We'll want you to do what you did at Lad Bible for us."
Was it Unilad?
It might, I don't know, it might have been. And he realized he couldn't work the way they wanted him to work, like very sort of structured and like in an office with other people. And he basically said, "Look, I can either like look at you when you talk to me and go to all the meetings and do all the, or I can do what you want, what I did at Lad Bible. You can't have both. So you can either have my full attention, or you can have me being productive." And it was like, it was very.
And he's very relatable, and I think he's probably helped more people than you'll ever understand.
Yeah, no, definitely. Oh, well, they're great. Yeah, I love those podcasts. I mean, I'd listen to a lot, but I like listening to podcasts when I'm driving.
Yeah.
Because it's not dead time, but it's like, I think it's more productive than listening to that, and I can absorb quite a lot of information when I'm doing that. He's got loads of books. I love books, but I've started listening to audiobooks as well in the car, just again, get use of my time. But I like listening. I like learning from people who've been successful.
Yeah.
So there's a guy. He's quite intense, but there's a podcast called Founders. There's a guy called David Senra.
I recognise the name of the podcast, but not the name of not David.
So
I'll give it a go.
Yeah, check it out, because he basically reads biographies of successful entrepreneurs and pioneers and industrialists, and absorbs all the information and like reads back like key themes and key points from the biographies. And he's pretty intense, but because he's so into it. But there's common themes and trends in all the top business owners and leaders. So he's got Founders, which is the main one, but he's just started another podcast where it's him interviewing modern day living business leaders as well. So like the guy from Spotify was his first one, and various others. So that would be a good one to listen to.
Do you know what, Paul? You've actually given me some food for thought here, because when I used to like have big teams, and I used to be employed elsewhere, I'd often have like 3 or 4 hour drives, or I'd be on the train, and I used to, it was audiobooks. I used to love listening to audiobooks. And since I've been kind of working from home and fully focused on the business, it's something that I haven't done in such a long time. I'm just sitting here thinking about it, and I actually need to start making time for doing things that I really enjoy doing outside of work as well.
Yeah, you need things that like motivate you and inspire you, and keep. Yeah, and you can always learn, and I mean, you can have them on in the background if you're doing housework or whatever. Or I used to like, we've got dishwasher now, but I used to like doing the dishes, listening to podcasts or listening to music.
Well, the girls are going to stay with their dad from tomorrow for a few days. So I'm going to do that tomorrow. I'm going to have a look this afternoon for some audiobooks to listen to.
Very good. Right, well, Cheryl, it's been a pleasure. I've really enjoyed talking to you here, and again, congratulations on strong start that you made, and I know you're going to have a phenomenal year last year. So
thank you so much, and thank you very much for having me. It's been lovely.
Yeah, not too scary, nice and relaxed, and
mildly terrifying at times, but yeah, I've survived.
Brilliant. Thanks, Cheryl.
Okay, thank you. See you later, Paul.
Bye.
Bye.